Am I live? Can I see the chat? Where's the chat? Oh, hello. Oh my, I can see the chat. Hey guys, how's everyone doing? How's everyone doing today? I'm a fan of you. I do graphic design. I'm a teen. I have clients, but I have no PayPal or credit card. Hello, hello. Hey, hey yo, hey. Hey guys, welcome. Can you guys hear me good? Is my audio good? Hey there. Hi everybody. Man, this is my first time live. I'm pretty stoked. I'm pretty excited. I'm in the recording setup. I wouldn't even call this a studio. This is like my home. What sunglasses brand is that? So, yeah, there's kind of a story behind this. So, literally just this morning, I got LASIK done. So, that's why I don't have glasses. It's kind of weird not having any glasses. Loud and clear. Hell yeah. Yeah, it's kind of weird not having any glasses. So I literally got my LASIK done today. I don't think I'm supposed to have bright lights in my eyes, but it's just so you guys can see my beautiful face. So loud and clear. That's good. Yeah, so that's why I got the sunglasses. I've been wearing these sunglasses all day. Um, and yeah, cool. We'll just give everyone a couple minutes to join up. And wow, there's 20 of you guys. That's pretty exciting. This is like my first time going live, so I don't even know really what to expect, but we're going to talk about a couple things today. We're going to go over a presentation I put together on the 80/20 of how to write a great YouTube script. We're going to go over that for an hour, and then afterwards, if we have some additional time, a lot of you in the waitlist sent over your scripts for me to review. So I'm pretty excited. We're going to do a couple of live script reviews. Live script reviews, from the feedback that I've gotten from a lot of people, live script reviews are the best way in order to get good at YouTube, right? So I can send you a course, I can send you community, right, and whatnot. But the best way to get good at writing YouTube scripts, or at least the way that I have written great YouTube scripts, is by doing script reviews. Can we send scripts in the chat for you to review? Yeah, you guys can send scripts in the chat. If there is time, I'll review some of them. I don't know how many scripts I'll be able to get through, but yeah, we'll give that a shot. We'll give everyone like one more minute, and then I think we'll get started. I prepared like a pretty nice set of slides, so I have no idea how long it's gonna take for me to get through these slides, but yeah, I want to leave enough time for you guys. Is this scripted or no? I prepared a couple slides. So if you considered preparing slides, it being scripted, then I guess you could consider it being scripted. I am the script writing guy. I wanted to make sure that I came prepared with something for you guys today, so that it's not just us shooting the shit. Even though we could totally just chat. I'm totally just fine chatting with you guys. You guys can send scripts over. Who's that sexy gentleman? Hey Hanzo, how you doing? Okay, cool. Let's let me figure out how to do the slideshow thing. Um, Let me see. Can you guys see this? Does this work? Hopefully this works. I'm not gonna be able to see the chat because if this is in full screen. So there's that. Maybe I should pull up the chat on my phone. Give me a second. Then if you guys have questions, I'll be able to answer it real quick. Let me just pull it on my phone. Hell yeah. Okay, I can see the chat on the right now. Hell yeah. Okay, cool. We'll just get straight into the presentation. I don't want to hold you guys back for too long, but I'm pretty excited about this because I've been spending some time preparing these slides, and really, right, YouTube script writing, everyone says that it's important, but no one really talks about how to do it, other than my channel and a couple other channels. But for the most part, no one really talks about how to write a great YouTube script. And so after talking to hundreds of YouTubers, business owners, and faceless channels, if there's one bottleneck that every single channel faces, is that there are no good scriptwriters out there, right? And if you're a scriptwriter out there, you're probably not that great. And if you're a business owner and you have your own Faceless channel, everyone's tried hiring all of these scriptwriters, and everyone kind of struggles to hire these scriptwriters, right? So either that, or they have no clue how to write their own scripts. So scriptwriting can be daunting, right? Because you need to understand storytelling, you need to understand how to write hooks, you need to understand how to write open loops, you need to understand how to write outros, writing the body, how to edit the script, the latest AI changes, right? There's Subscriber, there's all these ChatGPT, Claude, AI tools, etc., etc. So I've only got 1 hour here, and I can't give you everything that you need to know about how to write great YouTube scripts. But I'm going to give you 20% of the work that you need to master to create 80% of the success of a YouTube script. Or in other words, I'm going to give you the 80-20 of YouTube scripts. And then at the end, I'm going to show you behind the scenes of something that I've been working on for the past 3 months. Do a quick pitch. Is it all good? Is everyone good so far? Can everyone follow so far? Can I get a yes in the chat? If everything's good? Okay. Okay, huge. So who's ready to learn how to write some YouTube scripts? If you want to write scripts for your Faceless channel, if you want every video to be a hit, if you want to bring in thousands in YouTube revenue, if you want to improve your scripts, or if you want to grow your audience, I got you. Okay? Because in this presentation, I'm going to give you everything that you need to know about research. So I'm going to give you the unique 4 R's of research, which will cut the amount of time you spend on research in half. Number 2, I'm going to give you my 4-pillar system for crafting irresistible hooks that get 60 to 80% retention in the first 30 seconds. And number 3, I'm going to give you the viral storytelling techniques that I use to get millions of views for my clients. So we're going to go over the basics of research, writing hooks, and storytelling. And I think this is the 80-20. Okay, but before I get into the meat and bones of the content, let me tell you a little bit about myself. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, I'm Brian, right? And that's me. That's me on the left, right? 2 years ago, I was in the Singapore Army. I hated it, and that's when I still had glasses up to until this morning. I didn't like clocking into work at 8 a.m. and waiting leave at 5 p.m. But I had to work to get to the point where I never had to take a job I hated just to cover my expenses. So that's when I got my first start at Twitter ghostwriting. So my very first business was a Twitter ghostwriting agency, right? You can see here all of the screenshots of the tweets that I had that went okay viralish. I felt like I was on the right track, building a portfolio and the social proof I could use to land more clients until, for some reason, things slowed down. Because landing new clients just got harder, and I just didn't enjoy the writing, right? I didn't like writing tweets. Until one day, I woke up to an unexpected message, and it was from a friend who ran a YouTube agency who liked my YouTube videos, right? He had found my YouTube channel I used to attract clients for my ghostwriting agency, and he liked some of the videos that I scripted, right? And here you can't really see the thumbnails for some reason. The screenshot that I have, from way back is gone, and yeah, but I had this channel. It's literally my current profile pic, but just with a blue background. And I was just writing about, I was making videos on how to go viral on Twitter. And at that time, I'd not written a single script for clients, and I'd only written for myself. But those few videos was enough for him to hire me. But there was one small problem. I had absolutely no idea what I was doing, right? But I said, fuck it, made it up as I went, and just so happened the client ended up loving the scripts, and my first payday from YouTube scripts was $2,500 for what was essentially a few words on a Google Doc. Right? This was way back. But I began to wonder, right? Why did a YouTube agency hire me, someone who had just written a few YouTube videos for his channel, and not for a professional YouTube scriptwriter, right? And not hire a professional YouTube scriptwriter. And the more I searched, the more I realized that there just weren't that many people who specialized in YouTube scriptwriting, and those who did weren't even that good. So many people need scriptwriters, but there are very few people who are good at it, right? And maybe it might have been something that companies weren't hiring for, but if you search on any freelance site, right, this is like Upwork, you'll see that many people are just trying to hire YouTube scriptwriters, right? So that's kind of when I realized that YouTube scriptwriting as a skill was in high demand because literally everyone was asking me, hey, can you write my YouTube scripts? And there are very few good YouTube scriptwriters, right? They were non-existent, or there was a very low supply of them. So when there is a high demand for something and when there is a low supply, that's what we call a blue ocean opportunity. Or if you know economics, right? High demand and low supply means you can charge high prices. It means that if you come in and you supply you increase the supply, then you'll be able to capture all of the demand. So that's the reason I knew that if I got really good at YouTube scripts, I had the opportunity to become a niche of one, meaning that no one else would dare to compete in a niche that I was super specialized in. So my background, the way I got good is that for 6 months, I locked myself in a room, no sunlight, no talking to friends, no nothing, and I wrote 300 scripts in 4 months, which is quite a lot of scripts, right? And in 12 months of starting YouTube script writing, I was able to sign and write the biggest channels in the education space, like Jordan Welch, Davey Fogarty, vidIQ, Instantly AI, Brick Hitting, Hype Theory, among like 40 plus other channels. And we had a couple videos, right? For example, this video, the biggest coding mill video, 130K views in 7 months. This video for Brooke, 210,000 views in 10 months, which did easily 6 figures in revenue. This Jordan Welch video, 485,000 views in 1 month. Right now it's at about 600K views. So outperformed all of his other videos. If you look on the channel, this video is an outperformer. And this is my own video, just so that you guys know I know what I'm doing. If you guys are here, you guys will probably watch this. 100K views in 4 months, easily the best resource on YouTube script writing. But I didn't just stop at educational channels, because there were faceless channels reaching out to me too, and we were bringing in millions of views for faceless channels that we were writing for and consulting for, and yeah. So how do we go from 0 to making 6 figures and millions of views? Really, the foundation comes down to writing a killer script. At our agency, literally the one thing that we do is write YouTube scripts for other people. And if we don't actually know how to write great YouTube scripts, then whatever we do doesn't really matter, right? Because YouTube scripts is the product, so we have to get really good at the product. So this is something that I think about day in and day out, and I'm going to give you a good majority of the secrets and the way that I think about stuff. And if you guys have questions, just drop it in the chat, and yeah, like if you guys have questions and you guys want to stop me, just drop it in the chat, and I'll try my best to answer all of them. Okay, so these are the building blocks to script writing for any channel, right? The 3 things that you need to focus on, once again, is research, it's writing hooks, and it's storytelling. Okay, and we kind of have a unique methodology around these 3 things. You guys would have probably seen a bunch of resources on them already. If you guys have watched my YouTube script writing guide, you guys would have gotten a little bit of value on that. But I'm going to go a little bit more in depth here, and if you guys have questions, I'm here to answer any questions that you guys have. Okay, so research. First of all, research. So kind of like the story behind how I figured out, okay, there's a huge bottleneck in terms of research, is that on my very first video, if you look at my channel, the very first video, it's how to make a killer YouTube video for the 2024 algorithm. Okay, if you go look at that video, I think it did 10K views in 10 days. But the problem with that is that I spent 20 plus hours on research, right? So 15 hours on research, then 5 hours writing a script source draft, and then edit it, right? And then I did even more research after that. And the problem with actually spending this much time on research was that I didn't actually get to write the script, or I didn't get to publish the script as fast as I wanted to, because it was the very first video that I made. I decided, hey, I'm going to put all of my attention into this. I'm going to make sure that this script is really, really good. I'm going to research everything that I need to know about how to make this script, and I'm going to refine it over and over again. But it took me literally 2 months to publish it, right? I wanted it to be the perfect script, and I didn't want it to make any mistakes, right? So, yeah. So because I spent all this time researching and making all of these mistakes, I've now managed to refine the process, and I'm going to teach you everything that I know, so you'll know how to research the right way, right? And so that you guys don't have to spend 20 plus hours on research. In terms of research, I know there's a lot of people who just go on and on and on about research, because, especially when you're writing a faceless documentary, or whether you're writing for your own personal brand, you really want to honor your personal brand, or you really want to honor the person that you're writing the faceless documentary on. So everyone kind of reaches that kind of mind block where they just spend hours and hours on researching, and they don't know where to stop. And because they don't know where to stop, they do get kind of screwed because in the end, the script ends up taking too long. And I have friends who run these faceless channels and they spend a month on the script, right? And there's nothing wrong with spending a month on the script, but really the problem with that is that you can't hit a consistent upload schedule. And if you're a channel running on AdSense and you really want to and you really want to grow on AdSense, you said you want me to move the webcam. How am I going to move the webcam? Yeah, I can make the webcam a little smaller. I can resize. Maybe if I go here, is it a little better? Maybe this is a little better if I just put myself to the top right. Okay, perfect. Okay, that's perfect. Okay. What was I saying? Yeah, so I have friends who run these faceless channels and they spend 1 month literally writing the script. And if you spend a month writing the script, you're doomed from the start. Okay, you're just doomed from the start. You won't be able to hit a consistent upload schedule. And say you upload 1 time a month and you upload 12 times a year, that means that's only 12 bullets for you to hit. Okay, and really the majority of the time where people spend, especially beginner writers they spend it on research. So I'm going to show you my process so that you can cut the amount of time that you spend on research in half so that you can actually get your scripts done, especially if you're a scriptwriter. Hitting deadlines is important. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about research. Research is the foundation of your video, right? And most people like me make mistakes, like spending too much time on research, right? They don't really know when to stop, or they do the research poorly. But if you do good research, this will lead to higher trust and high reviews. And if you do bad research, it will actually do the opposite, right? You'll lose trust and you'll lose views, right? I've seen videos, say you're doing a car documentary, right? And you have a wrong fact about the car. Then the whole car community, right? Like whatever people are interested in, the whole car community will go in the comments and they'll start writing hate comments, right? And if they start writing hate comments, that will affect your viewer satisfaction. So you definitely don't want to do the wrong research or like bad research. Okay, so let's look at a quick, simple process to help you consistently find the right information quickly. Okay, because good research is going to be made up of 2 stages. Number 1, which is improving the pre-existing videos, improving pre-existing content out there, and number 2, talking about something new. So what do I mean by this? Okay. So when you're doing research, you want to check out other videos related to your topic and gather the best information from various videos. Okay, and when you're gathering information, it's important to look at these retention peaks. So when you go on a YouTube video, you'll be able to see where all of these most replayed sections are. And when you see all of these most replayed sections, you'll know that that's where people are most interested in. That means there's like, okay, there's a huge turning point there, or there's something super interesting there. And for example, looking at my YouTube scriptwriting course, where there's actually the most replayed or the highest retention peak is during the open loop section. So that could kind of give me insight to, oh, okay, actually people are interested in learning about open loops. Maybe I can talk more about that, right? So it's just these like small things that you can kind of figure out from looking at pre-existing videos and identifying where you can improve on them, right? And then you can kind of take these retention peaks and then you can turn those into videos. Okay, so one of the philosophies about improving a video is that you can really just look at a couple things from the current topics in your niche, and if you can just improve on those small things, your video will automatically be better. Say you found a video that got only 10K views, right? Say you found a video that got only 10K views, but you figure out, hey, actually, looking at these retention peaks, I can actually improve on the level of storytelling, right? Or I can improve on the level of information, right? Or I can or I can improve on the level of, on the level of insight, right? There are just these small things that you can kind of identify when you are watching these existing videos and when you're doing research, and you can kind of create a thesis on how you can improve on them. Right, so that's the number one thing that I'm looking out when I'm looking at these retention peaks and when I'm doing research within the existing niche. So that's number 1. Number 2, you can talk about something completely new, right? So this is for videos about topics that come out quickly, like news or commentary, right? You can start by basing your search on the research that you've already done, right? You can look at news articles because these news articles usually have clips related to the story, links to tweets and additional media, and you can easily take these clips and you can turn them into videos too, right? So news articles and commentary are, probably some of the best videos to make on, right? If you have a channel doing commentary, if there's a trending topic, and if you're able to make a video on that as fast as possible, then you'll be able to ride that wave, and your video could actually perform super well. So for example, if you made like lunchly content, say you're a commentary channel and you made lunchly content at the time when Logan Paul and Mr. Beast released it, your video would do exponentially better than if you were to do it like let's say 2 weeks after. So that's why being able to research fast and looking at these news cycles and being able to find clips and find tweets and find additional media and putting them into a video as fast as possible is also super important, right? That's why fast research is important. So, for example, if you want to find these resources, right, Wikitubia is a great resource. So you can just Wikitubia. This is for finding links and images, content for larger accounts, personal information, or any important events. You can scroll down, you can find gallery of images, right? Part of the research is finding clips, finding images that you can use in your video. Cool. So another important part of research is you want to collect clips for your video, right? Because collecting clips is important for you to communicate to the editor, hey, I want this clip over here. Hey, I want this clip over here. Hey, I want this clip over here. Hey, can you do this animation over here? So it's important for you to compile all of these so that you can make the life of the editor a lot easier, right? So all of this happens during the research stage. So you can find a ton of good clips and images from Google Images, Wikitubia, Google News, Reddit, and YouTube. Okay? And if you guys have any questions about how to find good clips and images, you guys can just send in the chat and I'll answer it at the end of the presentation. Okay, so what you want to do during the research phase is that you want to compile everything that you have into a Google Doc and all of the links that you need access to, and so that you can reference everything that you need to at once you start scripting. Okay, so that's the research phase, right? And at the research phase this is where many creators freeze, right? And then you kind of have to get to the actual script writing and the actual bulk of the body. So we're going to talk about how to write a hook. So far, is everything good? Do you guys have any questions on how to do research? Does what I've said so far make sense? If what I said so far makes sense, just like type a yes in the chat. Give me a yes in the chat. Yes, sir. Okay, yeah, this live is gonna be safe. Like this live will just live on the channel. Are you using royalty-free images or clips? Yeah, like generally, if you can find the clips on like Google and YouTube, yeah, like those are easy to use. Yes. Okay, good to hear. Yes. Okay, sick. Okay, nice. So how to write a hook? Let's talk a little bit about how to write a hook, because I think this is pretty informative, and even to this day, even though I give so much information about how to write a hook, I have multiple videos. Whenever people send me a script, the hook just isn't always refined, right? And there's always improvements to be made. Do you do structuring with research together? I'll answer that a little bit later. Just remind me to answer that question. Okay, so there's kind of a lot of information on how to write a hook, but still people struggle to write the hook. So hopefully I can give you a framework to really think about how to actually write the hook, and yeah, so that you guys can win. But first, let me tell you a quick story. Okay, so one day I had a client to reach out to me, right? He needed help with everything. He needed help with scripting, thumbnails, ideation, etc., right? And his name's Ethan Garland. He's one of my favorite clients till today. So at that time when he reached out to me, I was swamped with other clients, and I couldn't help him with everything, right? I'm not a thumbnail expert. I'm not a title expert. I don't claim to be an expert on any of those. But if there's one thing that I'm an expert in, it's how to write hooks, right? So I only helped him with one thing. I only agreed, okay, you just pay me. I only help you with one thing, and it's how to write hooks. Okay, and this is what happened. His channel was averaging here 1.8K, 2.3K, 6.2K. This was like about a year ago. And once we relaunched his channel, he hadn't posted for 2 months because he wasn't sure what kind of content he wanted to make. Once we relaunched this channel, this first video 5.4k views, 249k views, 39k views, 22k views, 29k views, 7.5k views, right? There were multiple videos with 200k plus views, right? We literally changed the whole trajectory of his channel from having a couple thousand views per video to tens of thousands of views, averaging tens of thousands, some video hitting 200,000 plus views. And literally all we did was change the hooks of his video. That's literally all that we did. I didn't touch the thumbnail, I didn't touch the title, I didn't touch the editing. All I did was write the hook. And recently, I've been doing a ton of script reviews. So I'm going to talk about the most common hook mistakes that I see writers make, so that hopefully you can take this and you can go look back into your hooks and see, okay, am I actually making these mistakes? So mistake number one, it's failing to capture attention immediately. So they start with a vague or weak opening line, and the first line has to be congruent with the viewer, right? So they're not lining the hook with the video title or thumbnail. And I have an example here, right? Say the strange history behind French fries. If the title of your video is the strange history behind French fries, and your hook is Belgium was a weird country in the 1940s, obviously weak, right? Ideally, the first line has to do something with French fries. So French fries appear on 53.36% of menus in America because of a disgusting secret. So you can see over here that we start with an interesting statistic, right? French fries appear on X number of menus in America. So, right? So on the very first line, you want to be able to capture attention. Ideally, it's related to the title and thumbnail, because the first line is literally the first touch point to see, okay, will you actually deliver on your title and thumbnail? Hey Joel, what's up? Number two is using complex language. So that's looking at jargon, looking at technical terms that alienate viewers. So that's overestimating the audience's knowledge level instead of keeping it simple. So in the hook, you definitely don't want to use any kind of complex language. Okay? Because complex language makes it difficult for your hook to be enjoyed by that many people. So if you want to think of your video as like a funnel, at the very top, the hook is meant to capture as many people as possible. And eventually it'll get smaller and smaller as more people watch the video, more people leave the video, right? So for example, say, why did everyone hate Shane Dawson? If your hook was with over 1 million subscribers, a retention rate of 50% and merch sales exceeding the average quota, that's like too many big words, right? But if you go back to 2016, Shane Dawson's name usually appeared with 3 words: cancel, groomer, and cat, right? That's actually a pretty good hook because, there's some sort of curiosity factor there. And the words are relatively simple, right? Cancel, groomer, cat, 3 words if you go back to 2016 versus million subscribers, retention rate, merge sales, blah, blah, blah. That's all really difficult to understand. So keep it as simple as possible. Number 3, you don't give enough context, right? So that's ignoring key questions raised by the title, assuming the viewers understand the topic without setting the scene. Okay, so Nietzsche was insane. Here's why. Watch this video to learn more of Nietzsche's insanity. Or you could say Nietzsche used to wander mountains by himself for 12 hours a day, but this wasn't the craziest thing he ever did. So here, you give the viewer context, or you give the viewer a reason to continue watching, because you immediately answer the question of here's why, right? And it immediately sets kind of the scene of, hey, he used to wander mountains by himself for 12 hours a day. So you need to give the viewer enough context. But then there's also the mistake of giving the viewer too much context. So there's kind of like a sweet in between that you kind of need to ask yourself, hey, how much information can I give the viewer, or how much information does the viewer need in order to continue watching? So you want to keep it short, but you want to give as much context as possible. You want to give enough context for the viewer to want to continue watching. And number 4 is not setting clear stakes. So that's failing to create urgency or curiosity in the first few lines. So, and missing an opportunity to make viewers want to learn more. So, for example, the title of Rosanna Pansino is out for Mr. Beast. If your first line is Rosanna hates Mr. Beast, that's not really setting clear stakes, right? But if you say after having her dignity stripped from her for Mr. Beast video, Rosanna finally had enough. So once again, you're setting clear stakes, and there's some sort of curiosity factor in that very line, right? And number 5 is adding unnecessary filler. So that's including sentences that don't lead to the next point, wasting viewers' time with content that lacks value or purpose, right? So let's say the title is the full history of the Sumerians. If you say at first the Sumerians had quite a lot of trouble with a great number of things, but or you could say the Sumerians had hundreds of problems, right? If you say here had quite a lot of trouble with a great number of things, that's kind of vague, right? So in your writing, you don't want to have unnecessary filler. You want to be as specific as possible, and you want to be as concise as possible. Okay, so that's a lot of the stuff that I look at when I'm reading a hook, right? I'll look, hey, what parts can I cut, and how can I be more specific? Okay, all of those mistakes can make your viewers lose interest, click off the video, and your video performance tanks. Do you guys have any questions so far? Is everyone following so far? Does everyone understand the 5 different mistakes that you could potentially make when you're writing a hook? Can I just get like a quick yes so I know that everyone's following? Oh, we've got a couple more people right now. We've got like 35 people. That's huge. Can I just get a quick yes if everyone understands the 5 mistakes, right? So that's failing to capture attention immediately, using complex language, lacking context in the hook, so that's not giving enough, not setting clear stakes or not having like a curiosity factor, and adding unnecessary filler, right? How long is a typical hook? Typical hook will be about 30 seconds long, but there's no like one set rule. Hey man, hey Santo. Yeah, there's no really one set rule in terms of the length of the hook. So for say longer videos, so say like a Simon Squibb video, right here, this video that was like 2 hours long. If you look at that, the hook was actually 5 minutes long. And why is the hook 5 minutes long? Because the hook literally tells the viewer, hey, you need to stay and watch the whole thing because of all of these reasons, right? Instead of just going directly into it. But if it's like a 10-minute video, maybe your hook will be like 30 seconds long. Maybe it'll be 10 seconds long in some cases. But really, you don't want to just like inflate your hook for the sake of making it a little longer, right? You want to understand, hey, what information do I have to give the viewer to keep them hooked, to keep them wanting to watch from start to finish? That's like literally it. Once you've given the viewer enough reason to stay, you don't actually need to have anything else in your hook. This is work in the documentary niche, of course. How about what Alex Hormozi says about getting into the video ASAP, like 8 seconds in? Should we do that or set higher stakes? That also really depends, right? So in an educational video, you want to give as much credentials as possible, right? So you don't necessarily need to get into the video 8 seconds in, right? If you're saying, hey, I have a portfolio of $100 million and I run all of these businesses, that's already 5 seconds. And then what else is he going to say, right? You kind of have to give enough context to the viewer. Say, oh, in this video, I'm going to talk about his latest video, right? I'm going to talk about how to write emails that can generate you hundreds of millions of dollars. And the very first line needs to validate the click. Right, so there's all of these considerations that you need to have. At the very least, your hook would be 3 lines long, I'd imagine, on average. What do you think about longer emotional hooks? Yeah, longer emotional hooks work. But you also have to ask yourself, okay, what in the case of writing longer emotion hooks, you have to ask yourself, oh, what's the main emotion that I want to bring out in the viewer? That's a question that you have to ask yourself, right? What's the main emotion that I want to bring out in the viewer? And once you've kind of brought out that emotion and once you've gotten a reaction of the viewer, you can actually immediately transition into the main body of the content. Okay? Cool. Hopefully I've answered most of your questions right now. So here, right? This is why I created a 4-pillar system for creating irresistible hooks so that you can avoid making these mistakes and write banger hooks every single time. Okay? And I'll give you a couple examples you can copy paste. So the first line needs to be clear and engaging. Okay, the most important part of a hook is the very first line. If the first line is not clear and engaging, no point. Okay, you need to capture attention instantly. You need to align the hook with the title and thumbnail, and you need to confirm it's not clickbait. So if your title is "This one skill is making millionaires," turn $0 into $1 million. What if I told you there is $1 million right in front of you? Don't believe me. Okay, so immediately you need to validate the click. So it validates millionaire and $1 million. Could this have done a little better in terms of validating the skill part? It could be, right? But this skill part is kind of like the curiosity gap. So you can kind of leave that to a little later. But you definitely want to validate the $1 million. Okay, pillar number 2, you need to provide context. So you want to bridge the hook to the main content smoothly. So the hook is the very first line, is the one that I just showed you. And then you want, in the context, you want to answer questions that arise from the title and thumbnail. So for example, in this one, you guys might have seen me break down this hook before, right? Alex Hormozi's $100 million code email strategy. Right? Immediately, the questions that will arise from just looking at this title, you'll ask yourself, okay, is it effective? Is it easy to apply? And is it useful for their business? Okay, all of which you'll answer in the context, in the line after the hook. Okay, and you guys can send me a couple titles, or you guys can send me scripts later. I'll show you how I break this down in real time and how I think about this. Okay, and pillar number 3 is to establish the main takeaway. You need to explain what they'll get in exchange for watching this video. So how does Alex Hormozi do it? So for the same title, Alex Hormozi's $100 million code email strategy. So how does Alex Hormozi do it? I've spent the last week breaking down Alex Hormozi's code email strategy, so you don't have to. I'll boil it down to 4 key steps that make his code email strategy effective. So you can see over here, I'm establishing the main takeaway, which is the 4 key steps that they'll get. And pillar number 4 is to not waste time. Okay, every single line in the introduction needs to serve a purpose. And if it doesn't lead the viewer to the next line, you can just cut it out. Okay, you want to keep the script tight and purposeful as possible. So if you've written this, right, let's say you have the red sections. So in this video, I'm going to be the one to review to you his crazy, super successful $100 million sales strategy. Sounds kind of stupid when I read it out loud, right? But it's not obvious when you're writing it on your own. You guys usually make a lot of this mistake, right? If you just cut out the red parts, it would be, in this video, I'm going to review to you his $100 million sales strategy. It's a lot more concise, you use less words, and you are a lot more direct. And there you go. That's what happens when you don't keep it tight. Okay, so that's a section on hooks. Does everyone follow so far on the 4 pillars? So just to recap the 4 pillars. Okay, you need to make your first line clear and engaging. You want to provide context afterwards, and then you want to establish the main takeaway, and you want to cut out as much fluff as possible, meaning don't waste time. Can I get a yes? Can I get a yes in the chat? We got 39 people here. I'm pretty stoked. Can I get a yes in the chat if everyone kind of follows this? There's a couple questions here. How about something like, I scaled a SaaS company from 1 million to 10 million. Here's everything I did. This answers all questions and set stakes, right? That depends on the specific title of the video. So, but yeah, like I scaled a SaaS company from 1 million to 10 million. So that's giving your credentials, right? So it's, hey, I've done X, Y, Z. And then you say, here's everything I did. So here's everything I did is kind of vague, right? You want to expand on that a little bit. So in this video, I'm going to give you the 4 steps that I took in order to scale the marketing, to scale the operations, to scale the coding team, right? And blah, 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 right? You want to you want to be a little clearer in terms of, oh, here's everything I did, so that the viewer kind of knows, hey, is this person going to talk about the marketing end of things, or is this person going to talk about the developer end of things, right? And you know, and like, because there's many different ways to grow a SaaS, or maybe you're going to talk about just the search engine optimization side of things, or maybe you're going to talk about the YouTube side of things. So you really want to be a lot more specific when you say, here's everything that I did. Cool, this is fantastic, great. If you have a 15 to 20 minute video that is split into 2 halves, would you provide a second hook halfway through? Throughout the video, you need to rehook the viewer whenever you're talking about a new point. And yeah, I'll probably answer this question a little bit more in depth. But whenever you introduce a new point, you need to be like, hey, this next point that I'm about to talk about is the most important, yet also the most overlooked. That's a simple way to say, hey, this is really important, and many people forget about this. So when the viewer sees a line like that, they're like, hey, oh, I'm actually missing this, right? I need to know what this is. So that hooks the viewer in one more time. Tangent question, but any specific tips on writing media analytics and video essay type questions? I'll answer that question a little later. I'm making a video about the Buddhist philosophy of experiencing. What have I told you? So the video title here that Antonio said, Buddhist philosophy of experiencing death in every moment. Okay, is the hook good if, what if I told you that you experience death every moment? Yeah, like that depends on what the title is. I kind of have to look at the title, but that's pretty good. Like, what if I told you is a classic way to write a hook. So, okay, I'll answer a little more questions later. I'm just gonna complete this presentation right now. Okay, so let's talk a little about storytelling. Okay, this next section will be about storytelling, and I'm gonna break down a script that that was written in the Freelance Scriptwriter Academy. I was having this call with my guy Roshan, and he asked me for a script review, and we're gonna talk a little about the script. So for a little context, the title of the video is "How I Grew a Faceless Channel to 20K a Month." And if you read this right, let's just read this for a second, okay? This is his, it's basically a listicle, right? Step 1, step 2, step 3. How I grew a faceless channel to 20K a month. So he's starting off validating the niche is step 1. Okay? So even just this first line, you can kind of like, okay, step 1 is validating the niche. I mean, it's not enough to just look at a channel with a lot of views and assume it's a good opportunity, so we had to dig in. As I was doing research on Whoparting, so this is another channel, I came across the following. Okay, try to follow this. They've got 5.6 million views in the last 28 days. And I know from experience from a niche like this, we're looking at about $4 to $5 RPM. And after you apply the formula to calculate how much a channel is making, revenue equals views in the last 28 days, divide by 1,000 times $5 equals $28,000 a month. Bracket, I know that sounds crazy. As you can see, it's making around $28,000. I asked my friend for the Whoparting channel backend analytics, and our calculations were pretty close. Now, the last thing I had to do in step 1 was spying on my competitors. Blah, blah, blah. Okay? And if this looks good, right, he's actually making a ton of mistakes here that a lot of faceless channels make. So, really on first glance, I don't know if you guys caught on to this, but you can kind of see that he was trying to incorporate storytelling. He was giving specifics on his thought process, and he used examples and shows math, right? But I don't know, when I read it, I'm not sure if you guys felt it, but it feels a little flat. Maybe it's just because of my tonality, but it falls a little flat. Okay, but if we look at it one more time, and we kind of like look at what's important when he's presenting something like this, right? So first off, the first line, right? The first step is validating the niche. Okay, so he's like, oh, but we have to dig in. As I was doing the research on Whoparting, I came across the following, right? They got 5.6 million views, and he said, I know from experience for a niche like this, we're looking at a $4 to $5 RPM. And why can't he just say, oh, they've got 5.6 million views in the last 20 days with a $4 to $5 RPM? And after, and then you can say, oh, and if you apply the formula to this, he's making $28,000 a month. And then he says again, oh, by the way, we're making $28,000 a month. So he says it twice. And then he's like, oh, by the way, I asked my friend, and he showed me his dashboard, and the math was close, which is also $28,000 a month. So you can kind of see here that, oh, he's kind of saying a lot. There's like a lot of words here, but you can actually cut it down to be like, hey, they've got, the channel has 5.6 million views in 28 days with a $4 to $5 RPM. And if you do the math, it's $28,000 a month. And then you can just go on to this. We can actually cut out a lot of this. So he's trying to force the storytelling here. I'm not sure if you guys can sense that, but he's trying to force the storytelling here, and he's trying to put a lot of words in, and he's trying to be like, oh, there's all of these different elements. I talked to my friend, and then there were this, right? And this is what a lot of the storytelling that I read from you guys kind of feels like. It feels forced, right? There isn't really a good natural flow of things. But kind of all of the mistakes that I talked about could have been avoided by just avoiding these mistakes and understanding storytelling. Okay, so I'm gonna give you a simple framework of how I think about storytelling, and it really comes down to two main concepts. Okay, and Steve Jobs said the most powerful person in the room is the storyteller. So we got to learn storytelling, and without it, no one will watch your video. So let's talk a little bit about storytelling. Okay, like the best way that someone has described storytelling to me is this. Okay. Every story should show what the character wants and what's stopping them. Okay, it's just the intersection between intention and obstacle. So you want to focus the character's goal and challenges, and the challenges that they face to reach it. So it's literally just intention. So I want this. I want to go to the grocery store and get a bag of chips. Right? But my mom won't let me leave the house. So just like that, there's kind of like a clash here. You can see I want this, but this happens. So then I'm gonna go on a journey to steal the key from my mom so that I can unlock the door, and then I'm gonna take my bicycle to go down to the grocery store, and then my mom starts chasing me. So you can see here, that's a story at a very small scale, right? It's me literally wanting to have a bag of chips, and that's at a very small scale, but that's also very relatable, right? So that's how you see videos like from Ryan Trahan, right? Ryan Trahan doesn't have hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars like Mr. Beast. His budget's relatively low, but he understands the storytelling in that he has kind of an intention of, hey, I'm gonna try this 1-star hotel, and then there's all of these obstacles, and then people are curious, okay, how does he like overcome all these obstacles to survive the like 1-star hotel? That's literally it. It's just the intersection between intention and obstacle. Scriptwriting goat, my guy. Okay, so let's look at how Iman Gaji does it. Okay, this is his video from surprising my mom with a $4 million dream house. I'm not sure if you guys have watched this video. Okay, so the moment he starts the video, Iman says, I just remember day after day walking down those stairs, seeing my mom clipping those coupons. Why is this bugging out? Okay, so the obstacle is that he sees his mom clipping those coupons, and he's like, he's like heartbroken. Okay, and the intention is that he wants to buy his mom a house. So literally in the very first line, he already establishes what the intention is and what the obstacle is. So he conveys in like literally the very first line, right? The intention, he wants to buy his mom a house, but the obstacle is that he has financial troubles. And this is where the story happens. Okay? It is what you do in order to overcome the obstacle. It should be a curve here because it's called overcoming, not just dodging the obstacle. You can't just dodge the obstacle. Okay? But how will you write it? So it's literally just using the hero's journey, right? It's to show the character's struggle and progression as they tackle obstacles. And this helps the audience connect with the character and follow their journey. In the simplest form, the hero's journey is the ordinary world, the call to adventure, the crossing the first threshold, test allies and enemies, ordeal, reward, return with the elixir. Okay, and if this sounds a little complex, I'll explain how Iman Gaji actually kind of applied this, because it is kind of it is somewhat of a complex concept, right? You can see there's all of these different elements, and it looks a little scary, but I'll show you how it actually works. So in the ordinary world, right, Iman describes a challenging ordinary reality where his family struggles financially. So that's the very first line, right? Day after day, right? This is not going to be life. This is not going to be our life. And then there's the call to adventure, right? If I don't take care of my family, it's not just me and my mom. No one is, right? No one's going to take care of the family. So because there's the realization that makes him want to pursue a better life, not only for himself, but also for his family. So there must be a clear reason, or there must be a clear intention for there to be a call to adventure. And then there's crossing the threshold, right? My stepdad put cameras on the inside of the house, so I grew up as like a prisoner in my own house. That's the first obstacle, right? This is the first thing that Iman has to overcome. My stepdad cut off the Wi-Fi when he found out I was starting a business. The walls were caving in my room, and there was mold. So there's suspense and tension, right? There's like even more obstacles here. It seems like there's an infinite number of obstacles. The ordeal. She got a letter that basically said, you have 7 days to leave the house. She lost her home. This is kind of the climax, right? This is the Iman's biggest challenge. And all hope seems lost. And then there's the reward. Right? July 2019 was the first month where I actually managed to hit $100,000 profit from the agency. Despite all the challenges, Iman was able to gain his reward. Was able to like reach his achievements. And then he returns with the elixir, right? Iman buys the house that he always promised his mom. And all of these faceless, all this hero's journey stuff can be applied to faceless channels too, right? Literally every single video that has gone viral has some sort of hero's journey to it.
The Chris Tyson's.
Okay. And yeah, that's the storytelling section. Does that kind of make sense to you guys? Do you guys have any questions on this? Right? So that's like a good chunk of the presentation, right? It's scary how good scripts look before you break them down. Do you guys have any questions? And can I get a yes in the chat if like the storytelling section or like the Gaji breakdown was useful? Because breaking down Iman Gaji scripts is probably one of the most interesting things that I do. Right? And yeah, I think that's kind of the most interesting things that I do. I got a couple fireworks here. Yeah. Cool. Okay. So there's that. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, sick. Sick. Okay, glad that you guys are enjoying it. And yeah, I'll show you guys a little bit behind the scenes on what I've been working on. And then afterwards, we'll do a couple of live script reviews. I have a couple of live scripts that the waitlist has sent to me. And yeah, I'll show you guys what I've been working on. Okay, so as you guys know, if you guys come from the email list, right, I work on the Freelance Scriptwriter Academy for the past couple months, which will teach you everything that you need to become a pro scriptwriter. Okay, there's no fluff, no filler. I'll teach you to never fear scriptwriting ever again. So I'm launching the Freelance Scriptwriter Academy, right, to teach faceless YouTube channel owners or freelancers how to script content that grabs viewers' attention, how to increase watch time, and how to build a loyal following. And the best part is you can consume all of the content in one weekend and learn the same structure that I've used to write killer videos that get tens of thousands of views for all clients. And if you sign up, right, you'll get these 5 things, right? You'll get exclusive access to a marketplace where top creators hire scriptwriters, lifetime access to community, strategies for landing high-paying clients, access to my 50 best performing YouTube scripts, weekly group calls, etc., etc. And on top of that, you get access to a community of scriptwriters. Everyone's sharing their wins, and everyone's sharing their own tips. And 53 modules that I literally spent a bunch of time in front of this camera, scripting the whole thing, recording the whole thing, and getting it professionally edited. So that'll be pretty exciting to release. And I built every module in this course from the ground up to help you create scripts that keep audiences hooked with way more depth than anything that I could have covered here. I only have an hour here, so hopefully the stuff in the course will be super valuable. And the best time to start is right now. Okay, so you can consider joining the waitlist. It's in the description. freelancescriptwriter.com/waitinglist. Okay. Thank you. Hope this has been useful. Yes, sir. Do you guys have any questions about the whole presentation? I'll kind of answer a couple questions right now from the chat. Maybe let me just switch the view to just being myself. There you go. Do you guys have questions about writing scripts? When is it launching? It's launching 1st December. So in about 22 days, something along those lines. What type of questions do you get? What type of questions do you ask GPT the most to polish your script? Like make the sentence more clear, make the sentence more visual, etc. Yeah, so personally, I don't use a ton of GPT to write, just because the script that we write can't really be written by GPT. If you were to use some sort of AI, I recommend Subscriber AI. It's made by my good friend Gail. Shout out Gail if you're in the audience. But it's made by my good friend Gail. I spent a bunch of time with him at VidSummit. It's really pretty much the best YouTube script writing tool out there right now. I've played around with one or two. There really isn't a ton out there. But if I were to use one, I'd recommend to use his, because his helps you do the title and thumbnail. It helps you do research. It asks you, okay, how much research are you looking for? It prompts you to give the correct inputs to do your own research, and then it spits out the script, and then it helps you edit the script. It helps you edit the brand voice. So really, Subscriber is one thing that you can do it all in one. I don't really endorse that many tools. I don't even have a sponsorship from him. I just really like the tool, and I know a lot of people who have found great success just using the tool. So I highly recommend that. The video essay one, you said you take it later. Can you send the video essay question again? Yoshif, how much does it cost? The cost for the community, you mean? The community will be released in 1st December. I'll review the cost around then, but it'll be a couple $100. I love to hear your process for breaking down a script, like when you were first learning. We'll talk more about that a little later. Can you give the link? What link are you looking for? If you're looking for the link, it's called Subscriber. Let me just type it out. Subscriber. That's the link for the AI script writing tool, subscriber.ai. or if you're looking for the link to the waiting list, it's in the description. My biggest struggle is not knowing when to end the intro and get into the video faster. What you said about the SaaS company example makes sense, but what's the complete checklist for intros? I would just follow like those main principles. There isn't really like a full checklist, right? It's kind of hard to like boil it down to a checklist, but really it's just the first line needs to validate the click, and then you give context. So the context could be some sort of credibility, and then you set expectations, right? If you were to just follow these 3 lines, I don't think you can go super wrong in terms of the hook, right? And over time you'll kind of like refine it. Hopefully that makes sense. What's the process for structuring videos? Do you have more open loop examples? Rehooks. Let me pull up a couple open loop examples for you guys. Can you guys see this? Can you guys see this? I actually like put together a bunch of like open loops from my videos. So I literally just compiled all of the open loops that I used, and there's examples and then there's payoff. Is this useful for you guys? I suspect this might be useful for you guys. Let me just share this link probably. I'm not sure how I can send this link to you guys. Let me figure out how to send this link to you guys. Let me figure out how to send it to the chat. Here you go. I just sent it in the chat. Hopefully you guys find it useful. But yeah, basically for rehooks, what you want to do is, if you've never written rehooks before, the best way that you can go about it is that you can just I think the best way to go about finding rehooks is looking at your favorite creators and then compiling a bunch of them, and then you can just model them. If you've never done it before, it's kind of hard to write on your own. Then you just want to model other creators. And swipe file that I just sent in the chat is my own ones. So that might be useful for you, and you can just keep adding on to the list. Tangent question, but any specific tips on media analysis and video essay type videos? Really, when you're trying to break down a video that you really like, what do you do? Okay, and really there is not much to it. Like the way that I think about breaking down other videos is that I'll ask myself, okay, why is the video interesting to me? Okay, if the reason that the video is interesting to me, okay, it's the storytelling. Okay, what about the storytelling is interesting to me? Then you kind of break down, okay, this section goes to this section, 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 right? And then you can kind of map out the flow of why the storytelling is interesting, right? Or maybe there's maybe like the tension is really good, or maybe the character is really good, the character development is really good, and you can kind of just break it down, right? There really isn't too much about like media analysis, and it's kind of hard to like put it into words, but really it's just asking yourself, okay, what do I really like about this video, and what do other people really like about this video, and then really breaking it down and then trying to implement for yourself. Because really the biggest problem with analyzing a bunch of content is that you analyze a bunch of content and then you won't do anything with it, which is a big shame, right? You definitely don't want to not do anything of it, because if you don't do anything of it, then what's the point of breaking it down? So it's really breaking down one piece of media, and then you can write the script from there, and like break down the piece of media, have one takeaway, and then use that takeaway in your next script. I think that's the best way to go about it. Video essay type vids, yeah, like that's the way that I do it. If the credibility, yes, swipe files in the chat. Lava asked, if the credibility validates the click as well, you can then just have a 2-line intro. Just who you are, and then what the video is going to be talking about. Yeah, it could be a 2-line intro. The best intros that we've seen are about 3 to 4 lines. So I wouldn't overthink too much about the length of the hook. Really, it's just asking yourself, okay, does it fulfill all of the criteria? Is the first line strong? Does it establish my credibility? And then does it set expectations for the video? Do you tell the viewer why this video is different from others? And then you can just get right into it, right? With some clients, we like to write extended hooks because they like the hook a little longer. With some other clients, we just have a quick hook and then we go straight into the value of it, because the value, the first point is highly valuable, and it's the most interesting. How do you write scripts for documentary videos? You do research, then swipe file is invisible. Okay, I'll put it in the description. Okay, how do you write scripts for documentary videos? You do research first or then write, or you research while writing? You do research first then write. So what you want to do is you want to have every story beat. I have a thumbs up here. You want to have every story beat that you want to have into your research document, and then you start writing. But the problem is, as I said, most people spend too much time researching, and when you spend too much time researching, kind of sucks, right? It's definitely not the most fun when you spend too much time researching and you don't actually write the video. So you 100% want to get as much research as you can, and once you feel like you don't have enough information, then you can start writing the script. And then once you've written the script, you'll start to realize, hey, I don't have enough information, and you can go back to doing research. But the first phase of research should get you 95% of the way there. So I do research first. Swipe file. Let me try to put the swipe file into the thingy-mabobber. Open loop. Swipe file. Can you guys see the swipe file in the description? If you guys can't get it, just drop me an email and I'll send it to you. Okay. Okay, cool. We've got a little bit of time, so we will do some script reviews. Who's ready for some script reviews? You guys have scripts that you guys want me to review? Oh hell yeah, it's in the description. That's great. Okay, perfect. I have a bunch of emails from you guys asking me to review scripts. Oh man, I'm also getting a bunch of emails that I forgot about daylight savings. Isn't it rough? I didn't know EST has daylight savings because I'm in Singapore right now. So I thought it's like 11 p.m. here. So I thought 11 p.m. Singapore time is like 11 a.m. EST. And then I sent an email telling everyone that it's 10 a.m. EST. Like it starts at 10 a.m. EST. And then I found out that 10 a.m. EST was actually 9 a.m. EST because you guys have daylight savings. That's kind of rough for me. Let me see. Let me see if there's a... Let me see if I can find a script that is interesting for you guys to look at. Lucky people can watch async. Yeah. Okay. Can you guys see this? Maybe let me move this. Yes, I am live. Okay. Shout out to you. You're in the chat, my guy. Okay, we all know. Okay, let's see. The only player better than tens. I think this is like a Valorant script. We all know tens for his insane strategies, lightning fast reflexes, and pinpoint accuracy in Valorant. However, he might be a legend, but this player has left him in the dust. Who is a player that's better than tens? We all know tens for his insane strategies, lightning fast reflexes, and pinpoint accuracy in Valorant. And here you can like have like a montage of clips. I think that would be interesting. Tens might be a legend, but there's a mysterious player. So here you can kind of add descriptors here to make it to make it a lot more interesting, right? there's a mysterious player who has left him in the dust. There's a mysterious player that has left him, who has left him, right, in the dust. Like, what does in the dust mean? I'm like not sure what this means. How do I make comments here? Right, what does this mean? I'm also like not entirely sure. So who's this player that's better than tens? So here, instead of just like asking, okay, who is this better than tens? Over here, immediately in the next line, you answer, okay, that is Forsaken. Right, so there's really no point in building like a curiosity factor here. So there's this problem that a lot of people have, is like they'll ask questions to like add a curiosity factor when it really doesn't add any sort of curiosity factor. And this is a good example where you ask a question and then you immediately answer in the next line. So there really isn't a curiosity factor. So you can be like, oh, meet Forsaken, right? The guy who blah blah blah, the guy who I don't know who it is, but the guy who beat tens 3 times at the World Championship, something like that, right? So it's like you give him some sort of introduction. A player who came from Indonesia, born in March 25, 2004, 20 years old, an Indonesian professional Valorant player and an in-game leader for Paper Rex. I'm talking about Jason Santo, also known as Forsaken. Oh, then all of this should be in the hook, right? If you were to like put it like this. Also, like, this is like too much context. So like this is too much context. It like doesn't really matter. So this can come like after. So this can come after. That's like my first note. That this can come after. Yeah, I would just cut all of this. Right, meet Forsaken, the guy who beat tens 3 times at the World Championship. And then you can say, oh, Forsaken was born on March 25, 2004 in Indonesian. Right? And then here you can give all of this context a little later. So you can give the context a little later. Right? Before playing Valorant, he was a professional Counter-Strike player. He retired from Counter-Strike and transitioned to Valorant. Meanwhile, Tyson, tens, is widely recognized as one of the greatest Valorant players of all time. And here you kind of like go back to tens. So that doesn't really make sense, right? Because this video isn't about tens. This video is like the only player better than tens. So you really want to focus a lot on Forsaken. So here I think it's a mistake to go back to tens. Shouldn't talk about tens again, right? If you wanted to make the video about tens, then you kind of have to like title the video a little differently. So that's like my first note on this. Okay. Do you guys have scripts that you guys want me to review? I like kind of like don't want to review scripts of people who aren't here. Talk slower, brother. I'll try my best. Peter Attia's 25 non-negotiables for longevity. Maybe this would be interesting. Peter Attia's 25 non-negotiables for longevity. Peter Attia clip of stating Pokemon or creating desire. Why is this habit for longevity? What are the concerns or contradiction in this habit? Counters this by noting research, validating habit, final payoff, how effective is the habit. Okay. Peter Attia's. Okay, let's see. Let's have a look at the YouTube channel. Who is Peter Attia? Who is this? This is Peter Attia. He is the #1 doctor for longevity, as well as New York Times' best-selling author. And today he'll go over his 25 rules for longevity, starting with the most overlooked aspect. Okay, is this like a breakdown script? I think this might be. So you could be like, here, same style scrolling effect. So you could be like, here, you definitely want to set the expectations the right way. And right now, we're not really setting the expectations the right way. Because I don't assume it's just going to be clips. Put it simply, the concentric phase is where the muscle shortens as it contracts, generating force, and eccentric is the phase where the muscle lengthens while still under tension. So this is the clip from him, right? This is the clip. This is his voiceover clip. And here, there's the voiceover, and then you switch to you talking. Voiceover, 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 switch to you talking. So it's not really just him talking about it, right? So Peter ties 25 non-negotiables for longevity. Put it simply, the concentric phase is where the muscle shortens as it contracts, generating force. But the way that you've written the hook is that you'll go over. Okay, I'll go over his 5, starting with the most overlooked aspect. Here I give a little bit more credentials, actually. Here I'd give more credentials. Because right now, you just said, okay, he's the #1 doctor for longevity. He's New York Times best-selling author. But like, what's so special about him that we have to listen to his 25 rules for longevity? And I think that could be one more line. I think one more line, just creating some sort of like curiosity, or like, talking about, oh, he's been on X podcast, talking about longevity, or he's been doing longevity for X number of years. I think that could make it a little more effective. Yeah. I think that's kind of my only note. Here you have rehooks, which is pretty good. Yeah, that's pretty much my only note on this. I don't have too much to talk about. This Peter Attia script isn't too bad. I'd have to look a little deeper to look at other stuff, but this is pretty good. You got a script, can you review it? Joshua said, I sent you one about Dorian Yates, but rather than the hook, I would like you to break down. Let me have a look at my inbox. Okay, script for Dorian Yates. You said that you wanted me to break down the body and the outro. How quickly did Dorian Yates lose muscle? What happened to Dorian Yates? Blue notes are editor notes. So who's Dorian Yates? I have no clue. Pretty big guy. Okay. So you want me to look at the body and the outro, right? Like, let's just look at the first one, okay? Dorian Yates didn't just enter bodybuilding, he bulldozed his way to the top. His approach to training was different from anything the sport had seen. While others trained for hours, Dorian pushed himself to the absolute limit in a single brutal set, a style known as a high-intensity training. This method wasn't for the faint of heart. It demanded everything he had, mentally and physically. Dorian's work ethic became legendary. Day after day, he pushed his body to places few dared to go, isolating himself from distractions and committing to a monastic lifestyle built around only one goal: to become the best. His dedication paid off, earning him first title. But this wasn't about winning. For Dorian, it was a relentless pursuit of perfection, a journey marked by physical and emotional strain. He knew what he wanted and was willing to give everything, yet each victory came with a cost. Okay. Payoff retirement in 1997. I mean, this is good so far. I don't really have any specific, like, big complaints. In 1997, Dorian Yates returned to the Olympia stage for his first appearance, but a man who had conquered bodybuilding 6 years in a row was carrying a burden few knew about: an intense tricep injury. He had already torn his bicep before, but this time he was facing an even more significant challenge. Dorian's body had taken a beating from years of extreme training, and the pain was becoming impossible to ignore. Despite the injury, Dorian pushed through, determined to give it everything he had one last time. But deep down, he knew his time was running out. He won that year's Olympia, but also knew he couldn't continue like this. I mean, this looks good. I don't want to spend too much time on this, but let's have a look at the outro. It hit him that he could teach what he had learned over the years, precisely what he did. That he could teach to who? Right. It hit him that he could teach to who, right? What he had learned over the years. I probably cut that. Let's change this to editing. He became very active on social media, sharing aspects of himself and his new lifestyle in Spain, from fitness tips to insights on mental health, where his followers would eventually get inspiration and start their journey. Okay, he went into mentoring individuals, which gave Yates a sense of fulfillment. Mentoring became a considerable part of his brand, and Yates felt that this allowed him to stay true to himself and give back to the fitness community. Here you can kind of use a clip if you have a clip of him. As of this video, Dorian Yates, age 62, still lives in Spain and offers mentoring and training to small groups of people. He still does what he loves. I'm not entirely sure where this will end, but really at the end, like one note that I have is that you want to end with a lesson learned, right? So that could be, what's like one lesson that we can learn from Dorian Yates? Here, we don't really talk about what we can learn from him. So generally throughout the theme of the video, it's not just so much of a recap of what he's done, but we also want to recap what we could possibly learn from him. So we could end off with a lesson learned. I would need to read the whole script to give you like a lesson, or we want to end with a rhetorical question, right? So what's one question that you can leave the viewer with so that they'll be like, oh, okay, like, whoa, this is totally crazy, right? I think that could also be an interesting way to end the video. Generally, with these documentary videos, you want to end with a lesson learned or a rhetorical question that like leaves the viewers hanging and leaves the viewers thinking. Because the best movies are like, if you guys have watched The Wolf of Wall Street, the ending ends with like Leonardo DiCaprio like playing tennis with his friends in prison. And it's like, he only had like 4 years in jail. Or like the movie ended with him like, can you sell me this pen? And he ended up becoming the speaker. And it left everyone thinking, like this rich guy made all this money, went to jail for a couple years, and then now he's out, he's scamming people again, right? Stuff like that. So that's a good way to end the movie because it leaves the viewer thinking. And I think that about the same way as a YouTube video. For example, like a 20-minute YouTube video, it's pretty much a short film. If we can leave the viewer with something to take away, or if we can leave the viewer with something to think about, I think that's a super interesting way to write a script like this. Or to write any documentary script. That's what I'd incorporate. Hello, Brian. Can you please advise how someone can get leads in the mortgage brokering industry? Make better YouTube videos. Mortgage brokering industry. I don't know too much about that, but maybe you can drop me an email. I can answer your question a little more in depth. Yeah, I used your vid to make a script, but recently I followed your script writing and stuff. I actually made a practice video on the script today. Huge. Can you dissect the YouTuber and check how he scripts his videos? Taurus Pit. Let's see. Taurus Pit. Is it this guy? It's kind of Chinese. I'm not sure if it would be valuable to the audience. To the Thor script. Let's see the Thor script. Let me find the Thor script real quick. Okay, we'll probably do like 1 or 2 more scripts. So if you guys want me to review the scripts, you guys can send it over. Let me see the Thor script. Hey Andre, what's up? Thor script. Okay. Arrogance and identity crisis, rejecting the throne, redefining power. So what's the title of this video? You gotta have a title first, right? So whenever you're writing a script, you gotta start with the title. What does it feel like to lose your father, mother, brother? Home, courage, pride, mind, and identity. So this first line is too long. So I'd cut down this first line. I know like he kind of lost a lot, but I cut down this first line. Like the first line really has to be concise. It really has to be punchy. If I'm reading this first line or I'm listening to this first line and I don't really know what's happening immediately, then I don't think it hits as hard. What does it truly mean to be wordy? So usually you don't want to succeed a question with another question. Okay, you want to be very specific, right? Usually if you have a question and then you have another question, it's not that strong. So I rework this. Thor may be God. Thor may be a god, but even he's had to confront the toughest question of all. Does his worth come from within, or does his power and status define it? In this video, we'll unravel. I wouldn't use the word unravel because unravel sounds very AI. The psychology behind Thor's struggle. So you can, we'll go into Thor's mind, or we'll put ourselves into Thor's shoes, something along those lines. Thor's struggle with self-worth, from wielding Mjolnir to facing his greatest losses. By the end, you might just find answers about your own journey toward feeling worthy. I wouldn't even have this line, but this isn't bad. I think there's something like curiosity here. There's just like, I'd make this first line shorter. I wouldn't have 2 consecutive questions. And I finalized the title of the video first. Or at the very least, I'd have a couple of title variations. Right now, there isn't really title variations. Thor, the God of Thunder, was born into power. Here, you want to be a lot more specific, right? So, like, the person who would click on this video is like a Thor fan, probably. So you could be more specific about it. Oh, like he was born into, he was like the son of Asgard, right? He was like the first son of Asgard, etc. But who is he without his power? Can power alone make someone worthy? So this line comes under the assumption that power is the only thing that defines him, and I'm not sure if that's like the viewer's perception of him, or I'm not sure if the viewer or if like he perceives that to be himself. You know what I mean? So I rework that. Can power alone make someone worthy? So really, I think the biggest improvement that you can make here, just by reading these couple lines, is that you really want to think about what assumptions you're making about the viewer, or what assumptions that people have about Thor. Because I feel like you're making a lot of assumptions here that, his value is only defined by his power. And I'm not really sure if that's what people perceive him to be. Because if you watch some of the latest movies, I just so happen to be a Marvel fan. If you watch some of the latest movies, he's kind of been without the throne for a while. So it's like, okay, you really want to ask yourself, okay, what do people perceive Thor to be? And how can you ask rhetorical questions to kind of hit that, so that you can kind of meet the viewer where their awareness level is at, or like where they think Thor is at. And if you can ask good questions like that, I think that will make a pretty interesting video. Hopefully this is helpful. Okay, I'll probably review one more script. Let's see. Okay, Rob sent me a script. Let me see. Let me find Rob's script. Okay, I'll review one more script, and I think we're gonna do these live streams like once a week, at least. I'll try to go live twice a week. If you guys enjoy this, are you guys enjoying this so far? Is this valuable so far? Just watching me break down scripts. Let's see. Okay, one last script that I'm gonna break down. Okay, this is Rob's script. Imagine learning 5 secrets to getting on many shoots that you get to choose when you take time off. Sounds crazy, right? Better yet, you spend that time off enjoying yourself rather than that incredible feeling you always get wondering if you'll ever work again. 5 secrets to filmmakers. Okay, get more work. You got a thumbnail thing. Okay, imagine learning 5 secrets to get on so many shoots that you get to choose when you take the time off. Sounds crazy, right? Better yet, you spend that time off enjoying yourself. So what could you do differently? Trust me, as a producer who's hired thousands of crew members or hundreds of projects, I know exactly what it takes to get you back on set again and again with non-stop work. I'll tell you something, it's not always about being the most skilled. I'll show you some seriously stealth under the radar actions to take on set that will get you hired again and again. You'll want to stick around for this one. So let me just do this. Let me copy this. Oops. So here, this is the script, right? So how can we potentially rework this? And like the title of the video is 5 Secrets for Filmmakers. Okay, so here, imagine learning 5 secrets. I don't think this is a super great start, because like imagine feels very AI. Okay, to get on so many shoots that you get to choose when you take time off. Sounds crazy, right? Better yet, you spend that time enjoying yourself. So here, I kind of get what you're trying to do. You'll be like, oh, you get to spend all this time doing whatever, but really the dream outcome here is to get more work. So here is like, okay, how do I get more work? That's my immediate question when I'm looking at this. How do I get more work? Okay, and you kind of want to answer that in your hook, and you say, oh, get on so many shoots that you get to take time off. In my head, when I'm reading this as an outsider, that doesn't really make sense, because if I'm getting more work, why am I having more time off? Or like what? Like I guess I do get to choose when to take time off, but that doesn't really make sense, right? I'm like, okay, how do I get more work? So like when I'm seeing this get more work, I'm thinking like get paid more. So like that's like the dream outcome. So here, dream outcome should be to make more money, right? Or like at the very least not be broke. So I rework this to talk about, okay, make more money. And here, like, and then over here you kind of have credential, right? These are your credentials. I know exactly what it takes to get you on set. Blah blah blah. Non-stop work. I'll tell you something. It's not about being the most skilled. And then say, I'm gonna show you some under the stealth radar tactics. You want to stick around for this one. So this one can be cut. This is like fluff, right? This is like extra filler. Okay, and then here there's some sort of curiosity. Okay, but like let's say we don't look at this. Okay, so how can you rework this? One of the easiest ways to write a top 10 script like this, or like a 5 secret script for this, it could be something like, this is it reworked. These are 5 secrets that every filmmaker needs to know to get more work today. As a producer who's hired thousands of crew members on hundreds of projects, I've seen firsthand what makes directors want bring back the same filmmakers over and over again, starting with, okay, this may not be right specifically, but I think something along these lines kind of makes sense, where here immediately the first line you want to validate the click, right? Here you kind of did it, but I don't think Imagine is strong. So you can just literally repeat the title. These are 5 secrets that every filmmaker needs to know to get more work today. As a producer who's hired thousands of crew members on hundreds of projects, so then you establish your credentials immediately the next line after. I've seen firsthand what makes directors want to bring the same filmmakers, want to bring back the same, or like hire the same filmmakers over and over again. So really, this is the dream outcome. And I don't think we need to, here we can link it to money if you want. I'm not too sure about your audience demographic, but I think, having it be like, oh, you get to choose your own time and you get to enjoy yourself, I don't think that's the direct dream outcome. But I think this is a lot stronger. And then you immediately go into starting with, because really you want to keep the hook short and you want to make the first point super interesting, right? Because the first point is effectively a hook. If your first point in a listicle isn't interesting, the viewer doesn't even want to stick around in the first place. So if you make your first point super interesting, that effectively is a part of your hook, right? So that's something to think about. If you have these 5 steps and say the 4th step is the most interesting, you can actually move it to the front so that you can keep retention a little higher. That's the way that I write this hook. Okay? Hopefully this is useful. If you want me to email this to you, just drop me an email, okay, and I'll send it to you. But yeah, let me see if there are any kind of last questions. Do you have a specific criteria for choosing to put a clip of someone saying something instead of saying it in the script? I don't really have a specific criteria. It's more like, does it fit better, or can I imagine it in my head? Okay. Cool. I do have to hop off to another call right now. I do have a call with my team, but thank you guys for showing up to this first live. I think I'm gonna do more. If this was super valuable to you guys and it looked like you guys like this, or you guys enjoyed this quite a bit, then I'll kind of do more of these lives. I actually do enjoy doing these lives. If you guys have questions that I didn't get answer, you guys can shoot me an email, brian@viralbangers.com. That's just brian@viralbangers.com. If you have a question that I didn't get an answer, or you have a script that I didn't get to review, I'll review it next week or the next time that I go live. These lives are only gonna get better. I'm gonna, just be investing more so that I can bring better content to you guys. And yeah, hopefully this was valuable. And yeah,